You ever wake up one day and realize you just became the villain in someone else's story, and all you did was buy an old hunting shack in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, that happened to me. And let me tell you, I did not see the plot twist coming, especially the part with the bulldozer. But let me back up a sec. I spent most of my adult life allergic to roots. 15 years drifting Alaska, Montana, the Yukon, building log cabins, guiding people who thought climbing a glacier was a vacation, chasing storms, just to feel that hush you get when you know nobody and nobody knows you. For the longest time, I figured that was all I needed. But somewhere along the way, even the wild starts to feel less like home and more like a place you're hiding out from life. That's when I saw this busted up old cabin for sale out near Clear Rock Ridge. I'm talking sagging roof, half the porch caved in, nothing but battered timber and a driveway so rough your fillings would shake out. But you know what? It called to me. Not because it was beautiful, it wasn't, but because it was a challenge and I was overdue for one. Nobody in town thought I'd last. I heard more than one local at the cafe say, "That place will rot to its bones before someone moves in." They said it with that special kind of hope reserved for lost causes. The county clerk even gave me the look, eyebrow up, lips tight, when I signed the deed. "You ever heard of Pinarest Summit?" she asked. I shook my head. She smiled in that way that says, "Well, good luck." Turns out Pinarest Summit was 3 miles down the ridge. She said they were nice folks, but the way she said nice told me all I needed to know. "You're technically outside their jurisdiction," she added, heavy on the technically. All I had was a deed of plat map, and the kind of stubborn resolve you only get after spending a January in a snow trench. It took me 9 months, but I rebuilt that place from the dirt up. Hauled rocks for the new foundation, wrestled lumber, hammered a steel roof on in a thunderstorm like an idiot who thinks he's invincible and got solar panels humming. Even built a wood-fired sauna out back. I named it Clear Rock Ridge Refuge and put it on a couple ecotourism sites. Tossed up some photos, sunrise turning the ridge gold, the hammock I strung between two old pines, the hand-hewn logs. Didn't expect much. I figured maybe I'd get a couple guests recoup some of what I'd sunk into the place. Turns out people are hungry for silence. Within 3 days, I was booked solid for months. Hikers, newlyweds, tech burnouts from Denver, they all wanted a weekend where their phones couldn't find them. The reviews rolled in all flowery language, a piece of heaven built with love. I won't lie, it felt good. For once I'd built something real, not just a roof and 4 walls, but a refuge. Proof you didn't need a gate code or a homeowners association telling you where to put your mailbox to have something beautiful. And let me tell you, life got simple. Mornings splitting wood, afternoons fiddling with the batteries, evenings on the porch with a mug of coffee, listening to the wind talk through the pines. Some nights I'd join guests by the fire pit, swapping stories about bear encounters and lightning storms. Others it was just me, the dark, and the hush. Then third Monday after opening, I heard tires on my gravel drive. Not a sound you get up there unless someone's lost or up to no good. Out rolled a black SUV, big and shiny, and out climbed 3 people in matching windbreakers, Pinecrest Summit HOA development boards stitched across their chests. The woman up front 60, if she was a day posture, stiff as a fence post, sunglasses so big they could double as riot shields. She walked right up like she owned the zip code. "I'm Karen Stanley, president of the HOA board down at Pinarest Summit." I nodded. "You're a few miles out of your neighborhood." She dropped her bombshell, claimed my place now fell within their extended jurisdiction thanks to some developmental inclusion vote. Apparently, any rental or commercial property within 5 miles had to fork over 40% of their revenue for community infrastructure. I laughed, couldn't help it. "Lady, I built this with my own hands. Paid for every nail. My land isn't inside your lines, and I've got the paperwork to prove it." She didn't blink. We're pursuing proactive annexation. That's HOA speak for we'll take it one way or another. She threatened to file violations, hint at demolition, just looking out for safety. I told her she was trespassing and owed me nothing but a quick exit. Her lips curled up like she'd bitten a lemon. "You'll regret this stubbornness," she said, and spun on her heel, leaving nothing behind but dust and that feeling you get right before a bad storm. That night I barely slept. Not from fear, no, I've slept through avalanches and black bears sniffing my tent, but because of her. Karen had the look of someone who thought my deed was just a piece of paper she hadn't shredded yet. I triple-checked every document. County maps, permit, zoning all clean. Called friends, called the zoning office. No one had heard of any legal expansion. But nobody was surprised either. That HOA's been trying to grab more turf for years, one clerk muttered before hanging up. I tried to shake it off, focused on my next guests, a couple from Missouri who'd never seen mountains up close. But then next Tuesday I found a green truck with mountain zoning enforcement on the side parked by my cabin. Two guys in field jackets, clipboard, utility belts, sunglasses. They said they were inspecting for violations under recent expansion protocols. Wouldn't show any ID. I told them to show me their paperwork, real paperwork, before I handed over mine. When I said I was calling the sheriff, they got twitchy and bailed fast. My trail cams caught everything, faces, plates, the whole show. I filed a complaint just in case. Then my rental listings got flagged Airbnb and Hip Camp, both under review for supposed safety issues. After someone submitted photos sound familiar, I sent proof of everything. Eventually got my listings restored but lost bookings. And now I knew this wasn't some bored HOA enforcing mailbox colors. This was targeted. This was a slow-motion land heist, and I'd just become the rock in Karen's shoe. Weeks went by, and the attacks got sneakier. A letter hand-delivered accusing my cabin of being a structural hazard, citing some made-up Jefferson County structural safety panel. Signed by Derek Fallon, a name I recognized from those fake expansion maps Karen had waved around. I tried to reach him, no luck. Then came the weird calls, people asking if I'd leased the land, others sniffing around for commercial easements. The heck does that even mean? So I dug deeper. In the county's contract database, I found a shell company tied to both Karen Stanley and Derek Fallon. That's when it clicked. They weren't just bending rules, they were breaking them together. Fraud, abuse, land grabs disguised as eco-preservation. I needed backup. I started talking to other landowners. Vic, the Vietnam vet, told me how inspectors showed up and his generator vanished after he told them to leave. June, the widow by the lake, got threatened with liens if she didn't tear down her late husband's fence. EMTT, the cattleman, said a road crew paved over his access, and then the HOA claimed it as theirs. Turns out we were all being squeezed, picked off one at a time. I called a favor from a guest, Eli, a lawyer who hates bad zoning cases almost as much as I do. When I laid it out for him, he drove up with a laptop, a bottle of whiskey, and that look in his eyes that said, "Let's burn it all down legally." "This isn't just a lawsuit," he said. "This is racketeering, conspiracy. It's a firestorm." And then came the morning they brought the bulldozer. I was down by the spring fixing a leak when I heard a diesel engine's men shouting. By the time I got back up the trail, there was a bulldozer parked at the edge of my clearing, a flatbed full of workers, and Karen standing dead center, arms crossed, looking like she'd just won a county fair pie contest. She told me sugar sweet my cabin was scheduled for emergency remediation. No court order, just HOA authority. I stepped between her and the dozer phone recording and told her loud enough for every hired hand to hear, "Touch this cabin and you'll be in court till you retire." One guy in a hard hat actually looked relieved. Sheriff showed up. Deputy Reyes, solid guy, asked if there was a court order. Karen tried to bluff. Reyes radioed dispatch, and that was that. No order, no paperwork, nothing. "Pack it up," he told the crew. Karen stood there, fists clenched, then hissed at me. "You're not untouchable." I just shrugged and said, "You blinked first." Now, after that stunt, I went nuclear figuratively, don't worry. I camped out at the county records building, got every map, ordinance, digital file I could find. Doreen at the front desk asked if I needed a moving truck. What I uncovered was classic HOA corruption maps, faked and uploaded with no vote fake stamps, shell companies moving money around. Fallon's name popped up everywhere along with a firm tied to Karen. With Eli's help, I built a case. Then, twist of fate, a freelance journalist named Rena got wind of it. She showed up with 2 cameras, a drone, and no patience for bullies. I gave her everything. She published the story headline, "Blazing Private Cabin Owner Resists HOA Land Grab." The whole thing exploded. More victims came forward, whistleblowers leaked emails, Karen and Fallon talking about pressure demolition, lies, forgery. Eli just grinned. We're going federal. We filed a lawsuit, fraud, abuse of power, RICO violations. News crews came up the ridge. The county commissioner called for a full review. Fallon got suspended. The HOA board scattered. Karen lawyered up and vanished from the press. And finally, justice started rolling downhill. The U.S. attorney opened a federal investigation. My cabin stayed standing, bookings picked up, and folks who'd been bullied by HOAs all over the country started sharing their stories. 6 months later, I found myself on a makeshift stage at a landowner's fair, looking out at ranchers, off-gridders, and families who'd traveled just to hear about the day a cabin outlasted a bulldozer. I told them all I wanted was a quiet spot to build with my own hands. I never expected to go to war for it. But that's what happens when you give in to bullies. They never stop. We didn't just win. We set a precedent. HOA power does not trump property law. Applause. Real applause. Not polite. Golf claps. Later, someone handed me a plaque. In recognition of Landon Bray, defender of Clear Rock Ridge. I nailed it inside my cabin right by the solar panel controller. Out front, I hung a new sign, "Welcome to the last free ridge. Unwelcome bureaucrats will be recorded, reported, and ridiculed." Now, I still rent the place out. But every guest who visits knows they're standing on ground that stayed free because I refuse to sell out, back down, or let a Karen bulldoze what I built. So let me ask you, how far would you go to protect what's yours? Is justice just a matter of paperwork, or is it standing your ground when nobody else will drop your thoughts below? And if you've ever tangled with an HOA, well, pull up a chair. You're in good company. If you think justice was served here, or if you've got your own battle scars from neighborhood authorities, let's hear it. Comment below, share your story, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the last Free Ridge.